All right, so everybody, thank you very much and welcome to the last segment of what has been a very informative summit. This is where we get to take your questions. Please, you've heard different people speak. The theme is problem or opportunity. And is there anybody who wants more clarity on any topic? The floor is open. I'll just ask, keep your questions brief. Keep your questions very brief. And if it's direct to somebody, mention the name or describe who the person is. And well, all the names are here anyway, so it's easy to just mention the name. And then if it's a general question, also say so that we can have people take turns to answer. Okay, so by show of hands, if you can just use the, what's it called again? The forget what it's called, but they're not emoticons, but you get the idea.
The raise hand on the reaction.
Hands, yeah. Raise your hands electronically. So who wants to go first? Okay, I'll go first. Oh, okay, sorry. I did. Okay, so let's start with Ted. You shouldn't be asking questions. You should be taking questions.
No, I wanted to reach out. I'm going to direct this one, I guess, at Chris Thompson.
Okay.
I really want to know sort of in terms of outreach and how you sort of communicate to get people aware of all the good work you do and all of the opportunities that exist. Is most of it through, email or how do you sort of get people, make that awareness?
Thank you. I think email marketing is still a large part of it. Social media is obviously really big now, but still it's about meeting and networking. It's just like an entrepreneur would have to do. We get out there, we go to events, we tell people about what we're doing, things like this, and then more and more people identify and we see them register. I think my coordinator actually just messaged me to say somebody has just applied for our program from me being on this. So that often happens. So I think it's a plethora of opportunity, keeping up with technology and using it as an opportunity to kind of market the messaging out and amplifying it. So I wouldn't say there's one fit all. It really depends. Since particularly to this program, it's a lot of new entrepreneurs are early on. What we've done is gone to a lot of at the table at a lot of events that are for entrepreneurs. We did Collision, and bigger ones, we've done Collision, we did what the other one is called, for those who know, national large scale convention that happens, and there was another one we did, so we'll table around those, and we go to a lot of events. So a lot of those partners I listed, we work with them. So it's kind of, they refer people to us, we refer people to them. Everybody's kind of doing a different niche within entrepreneurship. So if they're early on, come to us. If they're seasoned and looking for help, we refer them on. So building that network, just like some of our speakers are telling our early on entrepreneurs to do. So we use the same concept.
Great, thanks, Chris.
Okay, thank you. So we have Onome raise her hand or her hand. If it's okay, exactly. I was just going to ask you to please. Oh, please, so please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, Emmanuel. Someone actually sent me this. So I'm new to this in Canada for entrepreneurship. It's something that I really, really want to do. So I'll call myself a startup. Although I did a little bit of that in Nigeria before I came here 4 years ago. But where do I begin? I think I heard Mayowa talk about some courses. I don't know if it's Mayowa or someone else who talked about an 8-week course or, just being able to do. So this is my fault. I know that a lot of experienced people are here. So, but for me, how do I start? Where do I begin? I already have a lot of things, right here I want to do, but knowing how to start. I live here in Sherwood Park, just 15 minutes, like I said, from Alberta. From Edmonton here in Alberta. But how do I begin? What do I do as a new or inspiring entrepreneur?
Okay, since I heard my name, I would respond a bit to this. Onoman, again, pleasure to meet you. Well, Imichi. You're in the right place, in the room with Ted, Lisa, Chris, Augustine. I think you can't go wrong here. But what I would say would be to maybe attend some informational sessions. I'm not trying to market anything we do, but at CASA, we have some informational sessions where you can learn about what program actually suits you. You can also speak with, again, have some of the speakers here, like Chris from FBC as well, and figure out what aligns best with you. You have the right stage. I would strongly recommend also trying to find a mentor, someone who's walked the path that you're about to walk in Canada. You don't want to make the same mistakes people have. And it doesn't necessarily have to be someone in your field. It just needs to be someone that, one, you can trust, and secondly, someone who has an experience of what you've done. I can maybe look for a link and put a link here for CASA Foundation, so you can go through some of our programs, and I'm sure other members can as well do that, and then you can make can join any of the programs and learn more. Many other programs we offer are free of charge. We are sponsored by the government, so there is no cost to you as well.
Okay. I'll just add here very briefly. You said everything, but I am marketing. That's part of it. We have funding to make sure to use, so we're not trying to hold on to it. So FBC is there. I put the link up again. You can look at ours. We're early on, so right up your alley of just understanding. We call them pre-founders, or if they've registered and we're early on. But I think you're doing what you need to do right now by joining these calls. The only thing I would say that I always tell people is that it's great when you get referred and somebody's referring you, but also you need to take time into doing research yourself, because there's a lot of opportunities out there. There's funding in the sector, but it does take that deliberate, intentional, you got to put an hour or two just to research and find stuff, find digital events to go to, in-person events to go to, find a mentor, go on whatever industry you think you're interested on, find, I don't know, 20, 30 people in LinkedIn that are maybe in that, and see if you have a connection. Try to even maybe get a coffee chat without that 3 to get started. See if you can develop a mentor from there. But it takes that intentional effort that, if you're getting stuff sent to you, great. That means you're in some good networks. But if you can say that out of a week or two, you haven't been finding anything, that might mean that you're not, are you actually putting time to find something, not the exact thing you need, but there's events all over the place. There's network things all over the place. There's information. So it takes that intentionality to say, hey, I have, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have a lot going on in life. And like some of the speakers said, you have to be willing that it's going to be that extra 2 hours that you need to just do research, whether it's night, morning, evening, to squeeze it in. And if you really want to go the entrepreneurship route, that's a part of it. So I think you're taking the right step here, and it's just continuing it and being intentional about it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for that feedback. And what I would also add, is that for someone like you, I imagine that there's a lot of information that has been passed through. So this video is going to make available later today on YouTube. Please look for it. ANE Global. I'm going to type is our YouTube channel, so you can watch it and probably share with other people, because this is not meant to be a one-off, but an opportunity to. There's a lot of work, guys. There's a lot of work in the Black community. There's a lot of work, and I commend all those who have started, but there's a lot more work that is required. All right. So any other next? Who has another question? And I want to apologize. I just realized that when I was asking you to provide the names of the cities, I didn't remember to show people what link, what code in Slido that was. So I later saw names put in chat. Saskatchewan, I saw Hamilton, I saw New Jersey, I saw Newmarket, Boston. Wow. All right. I like what I'm seeing. So I saw those afterwards, and so I just want to acknowledge that I've since seen the information. And thank you, Lisa. Yes, please go ahead.
So I'm not sure how to word this question exactly, but I've spent some time in Zambia. I haven't been to Nigeria, so I'm just going to share my own experience. The culture there, and I think Nigeria has a reputation for the same, of being, it's very entrepreneurial at its core, from what I understand of Nigeria, and then certainly my experience in Zambia. I realized coming to a different country and living here is different, but it seems to me that that is still at the root of people. So what could we do as Canadians to help foster that here as well among people who come to Canada. We need more entrepreneurs here. We need more innovation. We need more development. We need more employers. So how can we help? What is the biggest need that we have?
You've asked a very great question. Like, okay, Augustine, I see you about to talk, so go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, Lisa, I was just writing a paper yesterday about cultural awareness, right? And I think that is critical for business leaders, for policy makers, and for decision makers across Canada. We had, one of the entrepreneurs we funded share a story that, they applied for a loan with RBC. They didn't hear anything. And then they met, the loan officers at an event, and they say, hey, I applied for this loan. We didn't hear back from you. What's going on? And when they checked in the system, there was no record of that application. Okay. So there's a stereotype and then there's a systemic barrier. And in my opinion, it is as a result of not being culturally aware. So once you come in as a Black entrepreneur, you're stereotyped. For a lot of Black entrepreneurs, including Nigerians and other Africans, what we've noticed over time is they've self-funded their businesses for years, right? So they've maxed out their credit cards. Credit score is not good, right? Now, typically, you get into any traditional financial institution, one of the things they look at is your credit score. Once it's not good, they do not even want to listen to you. Secondly, because, and again, going back into being culturally aware. So for most of us Africans or Canadians of African descent, when we come here and we start to do our small businesses, what we've noticed over time is because a lot of us do small businesses from our homes, and we've been doing it for quite a while, but because not like as though we want to cheat the government, but what we're not used to heavy taxes, right? So what a lot of Black entrepreneurs do is they lump up their expenses so that they can pay the barest minimum on their business tax. Now, when you come to meet a financial institution and even maybe an investor, you show a financial projection that says that your business can do so much in profit. But when I look at your official documentation, with your tax filings, for example, I see that your business is not making as much profit. So there's a disparity, there's an unbalance, right? To say, I'm not sure your business can make that kind of money. So essentially, cultural awareness is critical, right? Understanding the nuances of these entrepreneurs, knowing that, yes, your credit score might not be fantastic because you've maxed it out, because you're new in this environment. And like one of my friends would say is, a lot of us immigrants play the catch-up, right? Buying a property, for example, you come into Canada as an immigrant, maybe you've worked 10, 15 years from where you're coming from. If you have to get a mortgage, you probably even have mortgages from where you're coming. But here, you then now need to play the catch-up. It also, it's the same for business owners in the sense that you have to do a catch-up. You don't have that credit history. You don't have that robustness to be able to get the funding that you require or even the information. So cultural awareness is extremely critical. And the second point is education. We need to educate entrepreneurs to say all those, cutting corners would not help. All those, you've been doing business for so long, right? So you're heaping up your expenses so you can pay minimum tax. It would not help you when you're trying to get funding. So cultural awareness, education is what I'll say.
Can I ask a follow-on question? I'm not sure how to
Yeah,
word
just
that.
on that, I can actually provide a bit more insight,
Sure.
and I'm happy that Augustine has taken it very good. The acronym for what I'll use is PURPLE. Just joking, but it's that's for people who came earlier. But now my response will not just be to you sitting on the side, and I'm speaking specifically to Lisa, Ted, and the folks who consider Canada to be their original home. I'll also be speaking to people like myself who immigrated to Canada. So I'm talking to two people. answering your question. The first, which has been touched on, is cultural awareness, 2 ways. And a lot of these are based on my personal experience. And it's largely also why what led to the founding of ANE is that it's very important for those of us who have come into this country to recognize that there's a culture, no matter how a lot of people here, and if we had time to ask people what they were doing back in whatever country they were coming from, because I know it's not only Nigerians, you'd be amazed at the wonderful portfolios that people had before they came here. I had a good opportunity. I worked in a very good organization, and so on and so forth. But coming here, this place is a leveling ground. For most people, you actually almost literally go down before you rise up all over again. Recognizing that the environment is different, nobody knows you. So no matter how skilled or how capable you are, you still need to recognize and adjust to the system. Many people are not willing or able to do that at the onset. And who I'm speaking, I'm guilty. I was very sure of myself because I worked in an international organization and I thought things were going to pan out, but they did not. And so I've learned. And that's largely why I went to YEDI. Starting an entrepreneurship development program, would you believe that in 2004, 20 years ago, I was enrolled in an entrepreneurship development program back in Nigeria by a company called Faith Foundation. But I did it again, which I just finished yesterday, because I recognized that it's not just about the training, the knowledge, you need to understand how to adapt. So the more, the merrier. Having that is important. The second thing about Canadians is also, as you interact with them, understanding the culture. In my view, Canadians are, and I want to say this politely, somewhat laid back, very polite, find it very difficult to say no. So what I've discovered is that until a Canadian tells you yes, they're actually telling you no. That may be a one-size-fits, but it was based on my experience. So don't just assume. In Nigeria, if I'm talking to you and you keep quiet, that is taken as consent. But it's not so with Canada. Canadians, until you tell me yes, it's really a no. And I found this out the hard way. So that's just some of the examples. So I think that awareness of who we are, embracing us, is very important. That's number one. Number two is knowledge. Knowledge of what is available. As Ontario says, yours to discover. There's a lot of information. Getting mentorship from people is so key. Ted Creighton is one person who has helped. Lisa has also provided information. There's pockets of information here and there. There's literally nothing new that you want to start that has not been started and for which there's not been support. I really commend the Canadian government for the efforts they've made. Many people blame the government, but I think I'm not aligned to any party. I say that Canadian government has made a lot of provision available, and likes of Face Coalition is an example of just one of the many things they've done. Number three, moving very quickly, is also networking. Over the course of the last 1 year or so, I've been involved in Ted and Lisa, which I find to be wonderful. I've also been part of the Milton Chamber of Commerce. I've also been part of another Chamber of Commerce, the Halton Chamber of Commerce. And what I find saddening is that there are very few Blacks, let alone Nigerians, that I see in those communities. It takes a lot of courage, not courage, because I'm not moved, but it takes a lot of, for you to be in the minority. We had a Christmas party, remember, Ted and Creighton. How many people look like me? I was the only one in the whole room, in the whole club, but I didn't mind. But not everybody has that mindset. So I'm asking my fellow people, I'm talking like a politician now. I'm speaking to my brothers and sisters that we need to step up our game. If you want to be respected, then we need to be seen in the right places, in the right rooms, having the right discussions, having the right conversations. What ANA is about is, ANA Global is about promoting the best of Nigerians and one of Africans or Blacks. One of the things we've said to ourselves is, for instance, we have a marketplace day where we encourage people to share their flyers and promotion, but we also made it very clear that while we will always take you or consider what you have because of where you come from, we reserve the right to make a decision based on the quality of service and not because of origin or affiliation to any religion or any tribe. All right, so I just wanted to throw that in there. And Lisa, you had a follow-up question. Yeah.
If I may just quickly add,
okay, yeah.
From experience, what I've realized, there are two major things. One is, I'll call it education, and the other one is like the uncertainty aspect. So I'll start with the uncertainty aspect. I mean, you come from Nigeria. It's a community that raises a child. It's a community that, even if something goes bad, you know you can rely on something. And then you come over here, and then you know that a wrong step is like, it can lead to, really bad consequences. And a lot of people are very uncertain. And we try to let people, you need to embrace, for you to be an entrepreneur, you have to embrace it. You need to, entrepreneurship isn't a destination, it's a journey. So there's that fearless pursuit of what you dream of, fearless pursuit of possibility. Secondly is the elephant in the room, which Augustine already addressed, which is like finance. And a lot of times we think of, oh, we need money to do this, but sometimes I always ask people to kind of leave the box you're in. Well, what exactly is money? It's just an exchange of value. Before money came into place, there was, trade by barter. So if I have a skill, I'm let's say a digital marketer, Lisa has a food business. I could, I don't have the money, for instance, maybe I'm a marketer, I'm looking to, provide my service to someone. Lisa also needs to expand her business, but she doesn't have the money to pay someone to market it. So you've come into a group like this, I'm a marketer. So, hey, I have, 3 months of, of making revenues of $2,000. If I'm worth my salt, I'm going to let you know that, okay, in the next 3 months, I can double that for you. I can increase that by 70% for you. I know you don't have money. What I would charge you is a percentage of the profit that we made. So I'm giving you my service, and then, it's a win-win situation. I've gotten a client, you've expanded your business by having my services without paying cash. We've extended value. So a lot of times we need to also take a step back, kind of think of what exactly what is the end goal? Okay, so if I'm trying to just extend my service, get value, amen. Let's also trade by barter is still something that exists. So let's do that. Let's leverage on things like that.
Thank you very much, Maiwa. Lisa, do you still have the follow-on question or it's been addressed?
I think it's addressed.
Okay,
I guess I
sounds
just
good.
struggle a little bit because I can't change the banking system, and even long-standing Canadians have the same problem. It's hard to get funding from the bank. Not the same problem, obviously, but yeah, and I can't change the government, although I think we've done a lot government-wise to try to support people. But I guess I'm trying to think, how can I help individually, or how can Ted and I help with our group that we run? I mean, yes, you're the only Black person there, Emmanuel, but we would love to have more. So come on out.
Can I just add on to that for a second? Because Emmanuel, I thought you brought up something really interesting, and Maiwa, I think same thing, is that, and I tell this to people all the time, I think a lot of people perceive that entrepreneurship is a solo sport. And really, it ends up being, it is truly a team sport. And the question becomes, how do you pick your team? How do you find the people that can help you on your journey? How do you find the people that'll align with your mission and everything else? And I think oftentimes people see it as something, once I get established, then I'll reach out. And I think, Chris said much earlier, which I believe to be true, is that, you've got to be able to network. You've got to be able to find the right people. And at the end of the day, it really comes down to finding people that you can trust, right? Finding people that align with your mission, and people that can support you. And paradoxically, oftentimes it costs you nothing other than a phone call, nothing other than a question or an ask. And I think that's the important consideration for a lot of people is, don't see, don't see it as something where you have to have all the answers. You just have to, find the right people to help you on your journey.
Thank you very much. I will take you, Oluwasegun, but let me address a question that has been dropped on the chat. It's by a gentleman that I know fairly well, and he says, if there's a To anybody on the panel, if there's a Black-owned business out there that wants to become a multi-million-dollar business, what would be your top 3 suggestions for them to get there? I think if you knew the answer, you won't be here. That's just my thing. Because I want to know the answer to that question too. So who wants to help?
I'm sorry, the question was about what would be a multi-million
It
dollar
says if
idea.
there's a Black-owned business out there that wants to become a multi-million-dollar business, what would be your top 3 suggestions for them to get there?
Yeah,
So
I
what
think,
I would do, I would de-emphasize the multi-million and probably just talk about how can you hit it big. Maybe that will help.
yeah, I think it goes back to what I think the panel has been discussing.
Yeah.
You know, and the variations of pink, which if you pull everything together, it will come together. But look, you have to be passionate about whatever it is you're doing for you to be successful. And yeah, it's really pink, right? It has to be something different. You have to have a network and you have to have knowledge. And then you come down to the financial parts of it. So the non-personal parts, which would be the financial parts and the communication, the marketing, and all of that. But it's really about making sure your idea is unique, and it has value. You know, the part of a USP or your unique selling proposition is to ensure that it has value to the community. So it's not just a good idea, but it's a good idea that the community wants and the community can put a value to. For example, if you have a product, but people just say, okay, yeah, that product is maybe worth $1, but it cost you $1.50 to actually create it, then you're going back in value, right? So you have to come up with not only just an innovative idea, but one that the consumer tags a lot of value to it, and that value is substantial enough for you to have a profit margin, and it is substantial enough for you to have a wide market. The smaller your market is, the less likely you are to make a multi-million-dollar company. So I would say think value, think usability. So usability probably first, and then value. So use case, people being able to assign value to that use case, and that value has to put you in the profit margin side. So it has to put you in the black. And then after that, the scalability of that value proposition that you're putting in, try your very best to ensure that it's something that can reach a very, very large audience. The larger the audience, the better. And that value proposition that you're having there, try your very best to have a good profit margin and ensure that your community that's going to use your product is willing to pay that value for it. So it shouldn't be something just, you know, where people are like, yeah, you know, maybe not. It should be something where your customers see a huge value to it, huge profit margin. Try your best to go global or go international. Community-based platforms, in this day and age, very unlikely to go, you know, to really do too well when it comes to going multi-million. So try your very best to make it global or at least national, at the lowest end. That's my input. All my companies I've built, I started from scratch, and they all ended up being multi-million-dollar companies because I used that principle.
Thank you, Chris, and I appreciate the fact that you are confirming why we went ANA Global. You know, just trying to throw in there. So Oluwasegun, I see your hand is down. Do you still have a question, or are you satisfied? Has it been addressed?
All right, I'm still here. And I think I still do have a question, just a quick one. All right, thank you, everyone. Can we all hear me?
Please
Okay.
go on. We can hear you. Please go on. Yes.
Oh, great. So it's been a very educative situation seminar. So quickly, I am into construction way back at home, architecture, construction, then design and build. And what I discovered coming into Canada is that there seems to be like ethnic groups that have already honed the industry in a way. And for example, if someone who is a Chinese is coming into that industry, it's kind of easy because they're already really established companies and organization in that area who already understands what it means for somebody to be coming from China and coming into the construction industry in Canada. Of course, this is an industry that is highly regulated. So my question is for all the organizations that have spoken. I know we've spoken about mentorship, which I've actually tried to do and reach out to quite a number of people. And you'll be surprised that even some of those who responded to me on LinkedIn were Middle East guys, Pakistanis, and like, hey, I understand you're immigrant and let's see how we can walk around. But most of the time it ends as advices, as more theoretical. So I don't know if there's any organization that actually kind of take people under their wings that understand from the Black perspective that, okay, this is how it's been done, where you're coming, and these are the changes that you need. So basically more like, I won't want to say entrepreneurship or a cohort program, just to get exposure and experience in that field, because I believe even in the industry where you want to become an entrepreneur, considering the difference in environments, you need some kind of experience before you start selling yourself out there. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very beautiful question. Where exactly are you from? Where are you based, rather? Not from. Where are you based?
I'm in Newmarket now.
Newmarket now. I like your question. I like your question for many reasons because it addresses a number of things. And at the risk of being, where I come from, they say you don't wash your dirty linen in public. I don't know if it's a common phrase, but I'm going to address you by saying one or two things which you touched on, and then maybe other people can contribute. One of the things that you've said, or maybe inferred, is that you see the Chinese folks, they come in and they're able to build businesses. But rarely would you see them do it individually. They're able to do it because there's a partnership. They're able to collaborate. They're able to work together. And one of the things we have not traditionally done very well as Nigerians is that we have not necessarily always worked together for different reasons. One of them is low trust issues, because Lisa mentioned something earlier on that she sees that we're sort of entrepreneurial. The average Nigerian, especially outside of Nigeria, is very entrepreneurial. We believe we can do a lot of things. For you to cross different seas and come all over here, you must have seen. So not everybody came through the plane. People came through different journeys. So there's the resilience. We have a lot of things packaged. But what is probably not yet fully maximized is the opportunity to do what 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It talks about you start from being dependent to being independent to being interdependent. Being interdependent is where you're comfortable in your skin, but you're able to partner with somebody and 1 + 1 becomes 3 or 4 or more. That is one area where I think Nigerians can do a lot better. Having said that, things have started to change, I want to believe. In August or October, maybe Uche can confirm if he's still here, the Honorable Minister she's not a minister, she's the head of Nigerians in diaspora, Abike Dabiri, was here. She met with a group of Nigerians. She had a town hall meeting. And one of the things she asked for was, can you guys please work together? Because everybody wants to be the boss. Everybody wants to have their own organization. Everybody wants to do something. And because of that, I'm having to talk to 4 or 5, so many people on the same topic. And having said that, I've seen little but slow steps in that direction of pulling resources. That's very key, because thinking that you can run it all alone is going to be it's not like you won't get there, but it will take you 1,000 years to do what you could have done in 10 years. And that's pretty much what we're trying to avoid. That's why it took time to recognize and if there's still anybody who's here, who's a community leader or representing a group, I'd like to acknowledge your efforts, because I appreciate people who go out of their way. It's largely a thankless job, but it's very important to have people who look beyond themselves to support the community. So that's something I think is important. And then secondly, I wanted to say that that's one of the reasons why in the Alliance of Nigerian Entrepreneurs, now called ANA Global, we've been very deliberate about helping to nurture entrepreneurial potential. One of the things we've also toyed with is having specialized communities of practice, which cater for different industries. We're not yet there, but we're on the journey. I'll be happy to welcome you if you're not already on the board, but if there's any other person who's able to provide a service to address any of the things you've said, please feel free, because this is not about solving for one organization. It's about solving a problem. Back to the theme of this summit, it's problem or opportunity. We see problems, but out of those problems, we see tremendous opportunities. Okay, Mayowa, I see your name up, your hand up, rather.
Yeah, I just want to add to a lot of things you said, which I fully agree with, in the sense that, the trust issue, growing up, you might want to do something and my parents will be like, oh, don't tell people you're traveling until you get there, just because of some of the concepts and things we've had in the past. However, what I would want to say, because that's a very good question, is as mentioned, we believe strongly in partnership. First Coalition with Augustine is here. So he has a colleague called Priscilla. We had a conversation. There are a number of Black businesses that applied for loans and they were turned down due to educational pieces. So you're applying for loans and simple basics were not followed. I mean, there's nothing, it's not magic. So what has been done, a number of the people who are rejected, because we have an accelerator hub where we teach people how to apply for these loans, how to apply for grants. They've sent a number of these people over to us where we're training them, getting them ready for them to reapply again, make sure everything is in check, and then they have access to that, because the only way to move forward is if we do that together. So we have an organization like who's present here who helps people with credit, access to credit. We teach people how to access credit. It's a no-brainer. We need to partner together. When Emmanuel mentioned that sometime later this year they will be having like a cohort, I was super excited about that as well, because like Emmanuel mentioned, there is, we need more of it. There are too many Black businesses, and one thing I also would like to mention, Segun, is the fact that a number of the other communities you mentioned, when they go into entrepreneurship, a lot of times they go full on, head on. It's a different ballgame when you know that this is my all in all, and this is it, versus when you have a 9 to 5 and it's like a side thing. The passion would never be the same. So like there needs to be that breaking point that what, I'm so passionate about this. I want to pursue this full time. And it's again, like I mentioned earlier, uncertainty. It's a risk. It's going to be very scary, and we understand that. However, to be honest with you, entrepreneurship is a fearless pursuit of possibilities. So that's what I'll just say, and I would let you know that a lot of strides are being made to actually make all these organizations we have work together to advance the collective cause.
Thank you very much, Mayowa. I appreciate what you've said. So what we're going to do now as we begin to close this session is I'm going to ask each of the panelists to summarize. Out of all the things you've heard, if there's one thing you want to emphasize that you want people to take away, please let us know it. Oh, as I speak, sorry, I say a man called Sharik Qureshi. Sharik, good to see you here. I didn't recognize you were here. Thank you very much for participating. Okay, so I want to ask each of the panelists, and I'll go in this order. I'll start with the lady again, with Lisa Kemba. Lisa, I see you've written stuff on the chat. So if it's as simple as reading what you said, as long as it's 1 minute, that's fine. And then Lisa, Chris, Ted, Augustine, Mayowa, and Christy. Let's go.
I guess if I was to summarize, it would be businesses are built in small incremental steps. So there is always this, there's this, how do I put it? There's this sort of glamorizing of entrepreneurship in many ways. I mean, even I feel that way. I just love entrepreneurs. I'm very passionate about them. I love helping. I love being one. I just I think sometimes we overemphasize the glamour and are looking for quick and fast answers, and there just isn't. The fact is, you have to build one step at a time. That's all there is to it. And yes, you can have the multi-million-dollar vision in mind, but it isn't going to happen tomorrow. All those overnight successes you see on social, on TV, etc., those were not happening overnight. So get out, step out, and next thing you know, 5 years have passed, and now you're at the $1 million mark, right? And beyond. So just do it.
I'm going to take a point I think that Mayowa mentioned a couple minutes ago, because I think the one thing I want to reiterate is trust. At the end of the day, you've got to trust yourself. You got to trust your intuition. You've got to learn to trust other people. And in the words, I don't know if it's George Patton or who it was, sometimes you have to trust, but validate or verify. Not everybody is somebody that you can trust, but you have to be open to the idea of being able to talk about things that are difficult to talk about to people. You have to express your vulnerabilities to people, and you have to assume that people, that the people that surround you are people that are going to help you on your journey. Because, like I said before, you can't do this all on your own, and not everybody out there is a great resource. But learning how to assess people, understand what they bring to the table, understand the value they have, and trust the fact that they're actually doing it for your best interest, not theirs, sometimes is a bit of a leap of faith for a lot of people. Because oftentimes, people in general, but entrepreneurs, sometimes you get burned. Sometimes you get burned by people, and sometimes you get into a situation where that trust level goes down. And I think at the end of the day, you have to be open to the possibility that there are people out there that are quite aligned with your mission and quite aligned with, with what you want to do.
Chris Folaya, you next.
I think he dropped off, Emmanuel.
Okay, that's fine. Augustine?
Great. So I don't think funding is the greatest need of a startup, of an entrepreneur. And this has been validated, even though I'm the money man here, but I don't think funding is the greatest need. You need to have the idea, you need to have a market. If you then get to the stage where you require funding, financial literacy is extremely important. And not every entrepreneur is at the stage for a loan, right? Sometimes you might look for other alternative funding sources. There are venture capitalists, there are angel investors, but there are also other types of funding, invoice factoring, for example, or invoice discounting, right? So grants as well, right? So it doesn't have to be a loan to thrive as a business. You could look for other funding options and opportunities, but more importantly, you need to have a market for what you want to do as an entrepreneur. And then 2, you need to be smart about money matters, to know what fund to get, when to get it, and what rate to get it.
Thank you very much. Well said. And I appreciate the fact that you made that very sincere remark or comment that funding is secondary. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. Christy, oh no. Whoever was next, sorry, whoever was. I think it's my word. Okay, Chris, go ahead.
Go ahead. All right, no problem. I think everybody's saying is accurate. A lot of things. I think for me, what I'll start is I'll look at my own journey, and I think some of the best advice I got was, no matter if it's entrepreneurship or traditional or whatever you're doing, it's start with your why. And so there's a great book I read. It's like the why is the biggest thing. I think I agree. It's not just funding, and it's not just the business that you're trying to do. It's why are you doing this? Yes, I think there needs to be a need that you're trying to fill, but I also think it starts with you. Like, why are you passionate about this, and really asking yourself those questions? Because if anything, I'm sure other journeys are similar and they have differences, but the biggest thing I think for you is that yes, you need to build a team, and yes, you need to meet networks, but in the beginning and in the end, you're also with your own self and your thoughts and your own endeavors and your own perseverance or your story or what's passion. So you need to understand yourself. And I think if your why is because feel passionate, you feel you're called to this, you feel like this is something you want to do, whether you saw a penny or not, then you're on the right direction. But if your motivation is coming from, to at least someone said, you're seeing these stories and man, I need to get rich. And that's where it's coming from. Or like, somebody found a business, I need to find something to make a business, which is part of it. But if you're just taking on a aspect of the economy because you think, oh, I can make money in that aspect, which is part of it, yeah. But if that's not really your why, it's just like, you know what I mean? It's not your generic why, like this makes me happy, this makes me want to go through the ups and downs. I got 10 no's. Lisa was sharing in the chat how many no's she got. But even though I got those no's, I'm down. But something because of my essence or my purpose makes me want to get up. And if you really don't have that and what you're doing and find out what you're doing, it's going to be a tough road because you face a lot of that, whether you're on your own, sometimes with groups and sometimes with people. There's a lot of that happening, which is part of the journey. And the entrepreneurs that are really progressing, whether they're $1 million or not, or small businesses, what keeps them going is that passion. Like they just feel like this is what they're meant to do. This is what they really want to do, and they're able to get themselves up and do research or go out, get back up, talk to more people. They're vulnerable. They lose their pride. They're like, okay, I got to switch something. And all those things come into play. And you really need to start with your why and ask you if you're really able to do those and how you can keep yourself accountable to do those. And if you ever find a hard time with that, then it's maybe a different conversation. But I honestly think starting with your why, like really in depth analyzing yourself, is the best place to start. And then talk to other people and their why and see what they went through and their ups and downs, and then have their own conversation with yourself. And I think that's a great place to start.
Excellent. My one, last but not the least.
Thank you. In the interest of time, I'll make this short as everyone has really spoken on a number of the key things. What I've experienced is a number of people just lack the boldness to leap forward. Lisa, summed it up with her last phrase, just do it. I get a lot of people, oh my, well, I'm a shy person. You're trying to sell your business. Some things just have to come. You have to learn some certain skills. You need to learn how to pitch your business, sell your idea. You can't tell me that you're a shy person. In the words of, Albert Einstein, they play. You can't just be like, oh, I'm afraid to do this. And that's why I keep using that word uncertainty. A lot of people aren't sure. A lot of people feel this is such a big risk. Let me play it safe. Let me keep this 9 to 5, for instance, and then let's just, with my extra time, let's see what I can do. If you put in half the effort, you're going to get, less than half the result. So I would just say, it's a pursuit of possibility. Just act like, this is it, and go forward. And I promise you, you'll be surprised at the results, especially, where you're coming from with the challenges you faced. I promise you, this is even easier than you can think of. Have a mentor, get educated, and then, as Chris mentioned earlier, pick. That's it, really. Over to you, Emmanuel.
Thank you very much. I just had a technical issue there, but it's all good. So quick things. What I was just typing, which I've just typed, is that the video of this summit is going to be available on our YouTube channel, ANE Global. That's the YouTube channel, ANE Global. There will be 3 sessions of it. Like we said, I would not belabor the point. Then that's number 1. Number 2, going based on what we said, we're going to be sending a feedback. But even ahead of that, if there's any topic of interest that you'd like to be covered based on what you've heard today, that maybe it's part of interest, you're really interested, please drop it there before you leave. We'll make our efforts to try and provide something, because I want you to know that even though we will not have a summit per se, we're going to have many other information sessions. I'll be calling upon some of the people that are here. Augustine has been very wonderful. Last year, December, we had an information session, and I'm happy that he's here again. And I see opportunity to collaborate with other people along the room. That's number 2. Number 3, as I mentioned, we're starting ANA Global's Entrepreneurs EDA, Entrepreneurship Development Academy. And we're starting with the basic training. It will be 12 weeks running from March to May. You have more information on that. Just watch out for the information on that. Some of the people who spoke today will be faculty on that. What we're doing, let me just take time to say, what we're doing is that we're leveraging an international pool of faculty speakers. So we're not just relying on people within Canada, and that's deliberate. Why? Because we want to build and grow international caliber businessmen and women. We are not asking you, succeeding in Canada does not ask you to drop everything you knew. It's just how can you harness what you already knew and make the most of it. That's the mindset with which we're looking at. So we're leveraging our strengths. You're an international minded person, please retain your international mindset and see how you can be locally relevant in Canada. That is my view. That's my approach. And I strongly recommend that you also do that. And then last but not the least, if there's anybody who would like to join our WhatsApp groups, we have 2 now. There's ANA Global membership, which is exclusively for Nigerians. And we have ANA Plus Global, which is for non-Nigerians, but within the Black community. But we will not stop any Nigerian. It's just I want you to enter with your eyes open. If you say you want to be in ANA Plus as well, please do, by all means. But we're just saying that and already as I speak to you, the membership of the new one is 8 people already, just from this session. So I'm excited about that. We know there's a market, and we're going to be pushing that way forward. So on this note, I want to thank every one of you for being part of this session. This is our first summit, and it will not be the last. We're going to be sharing, we're going to be getting feedback, we're going to be doing an analysis of how it has gone with a view to seeing how we can even improve when next we have this session. I want to say a special thank you to the panelists who have done a very wonderful job of engaging the audience and the time that you've been here. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Ted, for what you're doing, not just for us now, for the community at large. Thank you, Augustine Fisher. Someday I hope to meet the founder of Face Coalition so I can tell them how wonderful you're doing and how cooperative you've been since we engaged. I'm very grateful. Chris Thompson, this is my first time of seeing you in life. I've spoken to you, but I've never seen you. So it's good to see you, and I'm grateful that you made the time to be part of this. I'm very grateful for your time and the wealth of knowledge that you've shared. I'll obviously be following up with more information later. There was also Mayowa. Mayowa, thank you very much. I will most likely see Dr. Ola. You see, I've even forgotten her name. That's how impressed I've been with you. I've forgotten what her name sounds like. Well, we're going to be meeting her tomorrow, and I'll tell her you did deliver. So thank you very much for that. I understand Chris Folayo has left, so I will catch up with him at some point. And Mr. Qureshi, thank you very much. Good to see you. I appreciate what you're doing. I called you earlier, but I didn't see you. But Sharik Qureshi, thank you very much for what you're doing. And I wish you all the best. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. If I didn't acknowledge you, please, I apologize, but everybody is appreciated. We asked for, I don't know how many people, you know what? Please permit me 1 minute. Can we all turn on our video so I can do a video? I can do a snapshot of this. It just occurred to me now because I just see names. But if you're not comfortable or you're not able to, that's fine. But if you can just indulge me, flip on your videos, and then I'll take a screen grab of these, and then we can know who. I see somebody driving. I see somebody in the office. If you're in the office and there's going to be a problem, I would appreciate. But if you're able to, oh, that's Adebola. That's my cousin, right? How are you? Good to see you. All right. So whoever is comfortable, I'm going to do a screen grab now. Let me just do that so that let me give more time in case anybody is, because not everybody has switched on their videos. I recognize and respect that it may not be convenient, but I'm doing it right now. So bear with me. I have 2 pages to go. So this is the first one. Okay, I've done the first screenshot. Please bear with me. Let me load it. Okay. And then the second one, let me just do that real quick. If your boss knows you're not supposed to be here, please, you have a permission not to show your face. Just joking. Lest your boss wonders, how could you have been working and have appeared at this at the same time? So just bear with me. This is second page, 2 of 2. I know some people have left, but at least we want to have some evidence that this happened. Okay, good. I have everybody's face. So thank you very much, everyone. On that note, we're calling today. I wish you well. The lady who's driving, please drive safely. Merci.
Hey, how are
All
you?
the best. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes, bye. Thank you.